Oh, you can take it out.
That's fine. This Thursday, October 31st, NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. NBA Thursday features 4 games on the schedule. We'll recap some things that we saw from over the Wednesday card. Of course, get into our betting picks here for the Thursday schedule. But joining me here to help me break everything down happening on the hardwood, I've got my guy here with me. It's a superstar of the show, the villain himself, Terrell Furman Jr. Terrell, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Not much, Munaf. Couple of locks slowed down. I think I hit my first lock, came back, slowed back a little down, but Pistons paid for the day. Pistons
Hmm.
first half. Shoot, if you came along, my clients, if they came along, played Pistons +5, Pistons on the money line as well. That cash through. 76ers right now. No Joel Embiid, no Paul George. Very volatile basketball team.
Yeah, we'll see when I think Joel Embiid. I saw a note this morning that said he was participating in 5-on-5 scrimmage, so he's probably closer to returning for the Sixers than is Paul George right now. But of course, yeah, they could use all the help that they can get right now. Yeah, you're probably gonna maybe have to help me change my juju here because I've been ice cold to start the season here, especially on the podcast. So hopefully I can turn around here on the Thursday card. Pretty good card here that we do have on Thursday. But before we do get into it
I
for
I just want to
Thursday,
mention
go
before
ahead.
we get into everything and
Yeah.
I have created a rhythm model.
Okay.
I did. Now, Moonoff, you
Yes.
saw the behind the scenes and you saw how very, very un-AI techie I am.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I didn't know how to create the model, and not only did it tell us how to create the model in our ad read, it also tells us how to create the model in the video that the Sports Gambling Podcast did, the company that I work for, and I still didn't know how to create the model. I finally created the model. Moon off. First of all, I would like to say my model's name is Braun Breaker.
Okay.
Okay, all
All
right.
right.
So Braun Breaker. Those who know, some may not, but very, very up and coming, I would say, up and coming future WWE World Heavyweight Champion for sure. And he's the epitome of everything it is to be a wrestler. He has the great offense, great defense, and an unlimited motor. So my model has great offense, great defense, and unlimited tempo, very fast tempo. Hey, I will say this. The model had Wizards +5.5 and Bulls +5.5 last night. I mean, no, it didn't have Bulls. It had Warriors. Both won. Model's 2-0 right now.
Model
I'm
is
just
2 and
gonna
0.
Hey, the model's 2-0. I didn't even expect it. The model doesn't have anything for today that it loves because I use two different. I use my NBA pre model that they made me, and I use Braun Breaker. And if they both collab on a play, that's the play. It had two plays that they collabed on yesterday. Just saying, we're gonna tail this for the season, and we're gonna see how Braun Breaker does. But right now, Braun Breaker's 2-0.
2-0 is a hell of a start. Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on Terrell's model. And again, a great time to get over there to Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial. Sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Not only can you make your own model, but again, for prop junkies like me, they also have uh, prop betting, and they have their top props available not only for NFL, but more importantly, their NBA models are live as well. I think they went 23-4 the first night of the NBA with their NBA rhythm models. So, yeah, get over there, check them out. We'll talk about more about them later in the podcast.
Johnny
So, I'm pretty
Myers,
sure.
I need a apology, and Mr. Braun Breaker needs an apology. Bronson Reed is nowhere on the level of two-time NXT champion Braun Breaker, two-time Intercontinental champion Braun Breaker. How many Intercontinental championships does Bronson Reed have? All right, that's all I have to say.
WWE gambling podcast coming soon to SGPN, hosted by the villain himself.
It's gonna be good.
um, What else? Where we at? All right. So last night, yeah, you mentioned the two Braun Breaker models that you had that cashed fairly easily. Not only did the Braun Breaker model cover the spread, they won the game outright by 13 plus points. Warriors, 15-point victory of the Pelicans. Wizards, a 13-point victory over the Atlanta Hawks.
Whew, whew, whew.
But pretty good night of hoops last time. So, yeah, of course, a lot of points being put up. But outside of those two games, anything that stuck out to you from last night you want to talk about, Terrell?
Uh, just that one. All right, my beef with the Toronto Raptors is on pause. I'll
Okay.
admit it. Uh, I locked up the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday, laying 12, because I thought that the Nets were completely unserious. They had just played an overtime game. It was, what was it, like fourth game in 5, 6 nights, something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. They won the game outright. Memphis might be worse off than I thought. And then, I mean, Bodega Cat was just Bodega Cat was all around the bodega, just dominating everybody. And I mean, bam, defensive player of the year, just kind of it's looking bad, bam, because Cat gave you 44, and it was nothing you could do about it. Like nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, I was watching that. I watched that game last night, the Knicks and Heat, and like Carl Anthony Towns was getting whatever he wanted against Bam. But what he finished up with 12. No, that's not sorry. Cat finished 17 of 25 from the floor. That's what 68%, if
Did
I'm
you just
not
do that in your head?
mistaken. Yeah,
Ooh.
that's my brown jeans. 4 or 5 from 3-point land. That's 80%.
68%.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait.
But yeah, all five starters also in double figures for the Heat. For the New York Knicks there. So, pretty good outing there for the New York Knicks.
And
They
McBride
improved.
gave you 10 off the bench.
Yeah. But it seems like that the Tibbs is in full force again, playing his starters 36, 37 plus minutes. Bridges played 40. Towns at 39, 42 for Josh Hart, who was questionable coming into the game, and he goes
And he
out there and
leads the game
plays.
in minutes.
Yeah. Did lead the game in rebounds as well. He had 14 rebounds. Towns finished up with 13 last night. But what else, man?
No.
Lakers, I mean, just got blasted from the tip there. Um,
Bronny
outscored
got 2
by
points.
Yeah, he got his first bucket last night.
Yeah.
So
2
yeah,
for Bronny.
I think they said at the end of this road trip they're going to send him down to the G League, if I'm not mistaken, and then we'll see if he comes back up after that. But yeah,
He's
he
only
gets his
something
first
like
bucket.
what? He's not even that far behind Bronny Senior now. Like he catch up. He's got
Oh
a
yeah,
long career. Pretty a long career. He can catch up to Bronny Senior for sure.
yeah, 100%. Anything else before we get into it for tonight?
No, never bet the Pelicans.
God, that's a nice
I
loss.
have no idea who the fuck the Clippers are. I don't know who a lot of these teams are. But like, there's just a lot of team. And I have to be really careful about teams that I just bet on right now because there's a lot of teams that I just don't understand who they are. You look at the Clippers and what the Clippers did. Okay, the Nuggets win doesn't look as good anymore, but they go to overtime with the Suns. They beat the Warriors, and then they lose outright to the Clippers. I mean, to the Trailblazers. And then, like, even the Bulls, like, look at what the Bulls are doing. The Bulls lost outright to the Pelicans, which looks horrible right now. And yet they bounced back by beating the Bucks, the Grizzlies, and the Magic. And they came back in two of those three games. Like they came back from a 20-point lead in the last two games. Like, I don't know. The Bulls might actually be good, and maybe we were looking too much into that Pelicans loss. But like there's just a lot of teams. The Pacers get the outright win in overtime against the Celtics, and it's a lot of teams that I'm questionable on. And I'm like, are you really a good team or not? I mean, we need some more time to figure it out.
Yeah, and they play tonight here on the Thursday schedule for the Clippers here, but Pelicans have been a thorn in my side, like you mentioned, and then even like the Trailblazers, I don't know what the hell to do with that team right now. But again, still very, very early on right now in the association. But hey, Braun Breaker model, let's not forget 2-0, Terrell. 2 and
I
0.
will say the Braun Breaker model does like a game today. We'll talk about it a little bit later. The Braun Breaker model does like a game today. However, my other model doesn't, so I didn't play it.
All right, yeah, you got to trust the model. Yeah, let it do the work for you, and if it likes a game, you bet in. If you don't,
Yeah, man.
you have a lot of time to improve the model there as well. But before we get into it, I'm sure you guys talked about it yesterday, Terrell, but appreciate everybody that listens here to the NBA gambling podcast, especially the guys and gals that chop it up with us in the chat as well. And if you're not able to join us live, you download the audio format, and then that's on Spotify. So thank you guys so much. But if you are on Spotify, do us a favor, head to Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. Only you can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. And we have entered the NBA Gambling Podcast Top 50 Sports Podcast on Spotify. And Sean had mentioned Sean Stacking the Money Green, that it's I think he said it's a little difficult to get into the top 50. But hey, the NBA Gambling Podcast is up there. So appreciate everybody again that's been here since day one, since myself, Terrell, Scott, Lonte have been here. But if you have already left a rating and review, you grab your loved one, significant other, partner, family member, coworker, go to Spotify, gives that 5-star rating. We want to climb the charts. The next stop for us is getting to that top 40 and try to work our way to the top of the mountain there. All right, Terrell, let's get into it here for tonight, man. We've got only 4 games on the schedule for tonight. We'll start off here with the Milwaukee Bucks. They are going to be in Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. Currently, as it stands, the Memphis Grizzlies are catching 6.5 points here at home. Excuse me, with a total of 232. Looking at the injury report, Giannis is probable for this game. He's dealing with a tendonitis injury. We know Chris Middleton continues to be out for this team, but only Giannis on the injury report, I should say. Memphis, pretty clean injury report as well as of right now. They did play, like we just talked about, against the Brooklyn Nets at home. So back-to-back situation, home and home situation here for the Memphis Grizzlies here, Terrell. But what are you thinking about the Grizzlies catching 6.5 points here at home against the Bucks?
I mean, I would love to say that the rest matters, but it clearly doesn't. It clearly doesn't matter in the beginning of the season. Like teams that have been on back-to-backs have been playing up in those spots, and ultimately here it is. It's like, do you want to lay 6.5 with the Bucks in this game? And the fact that their defense has been horrible to start the year. Like this again, this is a Bucks team that's 1-3. Like they're 1-3. Both of these two teams found a way to lose to the Nets.
Yeah.
Munaf, both of these teams found a way to lose to the Nets. Like, what's going on here? The Bucks won the first game against the 76ers, and they've dropped 3 straight. They've given up 133 to the Bulls, 115 to the Nets, which I mean, I guess that looks better now. The Nets are apparently a good team, and 119 to the Celtics. Like, they're not really slowing anybody down, and they're giving up points. If you're on the road, and I don't trust your defense to be able to get a stop, they're not defending. They're not defending at the rim. They're allowing teams to get out in fast breaks. What does this Memphis team do? They like to push the pace, and I think that they're a little pissed off that they lost to the Nets too. Like, I don't know, man. I really don't know what to make of either one of these two teams because I think both of them have shown good spots. I think both of them on paper are supposed to be really good, but the rest advantage really, really kills me, and I don't want to take Memphis. But I mean, the rest advantage hasn't meant anything for anybody this season thus far. It's early in the season, so I think I like the points with Memphis. Take the points. We get a close game, and both of these two teams desperate for a win early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it with the Bucks. I mean, defensively, they just have not been very good. And I think if they continue on this downward spiral, um, maybe Giannis is on the move here for the Bucks. But I mean, again, still very early on. But like you mentioned, right, they won their opening night game against the Sixers. I mean, how impressive was that, especially without Joel Embiid and Paul George in the lineup there? I mean, if they were in the lineup, this could
And
be a
then we were
different
kind of sweating that
conversation.
a little bit. Well, not maybe not towards the end when they pulled away, but there was a point in time where they were definitely in that game. The 76ers were in that game, and I'm like, all right, this is going on a little bit longer than I would intend it.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just giving up a bunch of threes, man. Like 18 threes to the Celtics, and we know the Celtics shoot threes, and that's how their offense goes. But they gave up 16 threes to the Nets in that game. That was partially the reason that they lost. Like, you go and you look at what they gave up in the Bulls game, 21 threes. Like, can we just get is this a Desmond Bain or like somebody like that type game for the uh Grizzlies because it just looks like the Bucks can't stop anybody from 3.
So I want to say last night I saw that Desmond Bain left the game. I'm not sure if he did return or not, but let me double check here.
I feel like I saw him at the end of the game.
Okay, then I could be wrong. He was no, so he left the game. He didn't return. He has an oblique injury.
Okay.
Same thing. Marcus Smart ankle didn't return on Wednesday either. But maybe they knew that they had a back-to-back game. But definitely keep an eye on that injury report here for this game, especially for the Memphis Grizzlies side, since Bain and both Marcus Smart didn't return to the game last night. Um, yeah, I
That's
don't
gonna
want
be it
to.
for me. If those guys are out, maybe I go Bucks. But like I just
Yeah,
don't know. I'm questionable. I'm really, really questionable on the Bucks. And the 3-point margin that they've given up this season is something thus far for me. Like 21, 16, and 18 threes in the past 3 losses is really bad. And if you're giving up a bunch of threes and you're it's hard for me to lay points with you on the road. So
a total 232. Anything you like there?
over. How do I not go over? I
Yeah,
just
I mean, you mentioned right with the Bucks giving up the amount of points that they've given up in those 3 losses, especially like you give up 133 to the Bulls, 115 to the Nets, 119 to the Celtics. I mean, that's not going to win you very many games, and I think that's just going to continue here. Johnny asking about the Bucks team total over. Let me find what that
I like
number
it because
is.
I also question Memphis defensively. Both of these two teams lost to the Bulls too.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Bulls and Nets, common losses. But I mean, again, 119 to the Nets for the Grizzlies, 126 to the Bulls. The Magic off of back to back still got to 111. They gave up one, yeah, like they gave up 128 to the freaking Rockets and 124 to the Jazz. Like the Grizzlies haven't been good defensively. So yeah, Johnny, I agree. Take the Bucks team total. I think it's going to be points.
Yeah, I think that might be the look here in this game. As far as the total goes, a team total over. Let me see if I can find the number, but
The
it's
Bulls scored
prob
126 and 133 on both of these two teams.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, defensively, I mean, it's been bad for both of these teams. So, but I would go, yeah, my favorite play would be the Bucks team total, like Johnny mentioned, and then I would wait and see if those guys of Desmond Bain and or Marcus Smart are in this game, and then at that point, I would look at the Memphis Grizzlies. But I don't want to give out anything without knowing the exact injury report for the Memphis Grizzlies. But Bucks team total over makes a lot of sense. Anything
It's a
else?
easy yeah, I agree with you. It's an easy handicap. With if Smart and Bain are out, I'm probably gonna wait and just get the larger line with Memphis, to be honest. But I can understand why you would take Bucks at that point. But it feels like the total and playing the total, whether you play the team total or whether you play the complete over, it feels like that's the best play here.
Tomorrow, pointing out road favorites who are on a 3-game losing streak or more are 57% ATS,
Ooh,
354 to
nice stat.
260. So that's a yeah, good stat there. All right, before we get over to the next game on the schedule here, let me tell everyone about our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. Boostober is upon us, which means you're getting a spooky amount of profit boost and much more. And you can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. So sign up with promo code NBA to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to 1,000 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com. Make sure you guys use our promo code NBASGPN. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Next game on the schedule, we'll go over to the two Texas teams matching up in Arlington tonight near Dallas. It'll be the Houston Rockets making the trip up to I-45 to Dallas to take on the Mavericks. Mavericks currently laying 6.5 points in this game with a total of 227.5. Looking at the injury report for the Houston Rockets, pretty clean. Just a bunch of guys that are on two-way G League deals. Steven Adams is questionable for this game. For the Dallas Mavericks, the usual suspects are out. Maxi Kleba, Dante Exum, and Kessler Edwards are all out for this game here for the Mavericks. Mavericks coming off of the game the other night against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where they won 120 to 114. 3-1 straight up on the season are the Mavericks. Are 2-2 against the spread. Meanwhile, the Rockets have had their struggles to start the season, but they are at 2-2 right now, and also 2-2 against the spread. Early division game here, Terrell. But what are we looking at for Mavericks laying 6.5 at home? Oh, you're on mute.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right. Back to the Mavericks. I mean, it was a good win against the Timberwolves, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very questionable exactly what this Mavericks team is. So they had the game against the Spurs where they kind of did they even end up covering that? I don't think they did they cover that? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
they did.
They did because I remember I
They
had the Spurs in that game.
Yeah, so they were able to cover that, but then they didn't cover against the Jazz. I've always been questionable of the Mavericks at home as a home favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing. I don't think I want to get in front of Houston just feels like somebody that's going to randomly come up and play really, really well. I mean, granted, they played the Spurs twice, they played the Grizzlies, which doesn't look that good, and they played the Hornets. But they've been pretty solid defensively. The Hornets getting the most of those totals, 110 to the Hornets, but they played really, really good. Gave up 108 to the Grizzlies, gave up 109 to the Spurs and a loss, and then bounced back and gave up 101 to the Spurs. So, like, how do I feel about them defensively? I don't know. I don't really know too much about these teams yet. But what I will say is I think that they get after it. And I think they're a feisty group and they're going to play up and they're not going to back down from anybody. And I can 100% see this Houston team being a team that plays up to their competition. They've been really, really solid defensively thus far. I think for me, the better play is probably the under. I
Okay.
think that both of these two teams very, very slow in pace in the first few games. And I mean, granted, we know the Mavericks to always kind of run a slower pace, but the Rockets also matching that pace. Like they're both 20th and 21st in pace, respectively, in the league. So I think that this can be a slower pace game, more defensive type game. I can't see a bunch of points really being scored. But it's going to come over to the turnovers, and if the Mavericks can, not the Mavericks, but if the Rockets can clean up those turnovers, and that'll determine really if they're in this game or not. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Rockets plus the points, plus 6.5 here. It's a little bit, might be getting a little cute here, but I think this Rockets defense is actually intriguing. But that 227, that under 227 looks very, very interesting, Munaf.
Yeah, and to your point about the Mavericks being home favorite, so I pulled it up since the 2022 season. They are 47 and 26 straight up, but they're 29, 42, and 2 ATS as home favorites, which is almost close to 40%, 59.2% to be exact for the um, road team there covering the spread against the Dallas Mavericks. And I think early on,
59?
yeah, 59.2% are the road teams
Munaf, this
covering.
is Munaf. This is Miami Heat level covering for the road dog here.
Let's see which one is worse. So let me just do it as as home favorites. Yeah. So Miami is covering at a 41.3% clip as home favorites as that span, and the Mavericks, I think, are the worst or more
This is
worse,
where
I
you're
should say.
supposed to be good at basketball.
It's a difference by 0.5% that the Mavericks are worse as a home
This
favorite.
is where you're supposed to be. Give me the Rockets. This is where you're supposed
um,
to play good basketball.
and also say this that the Mavericks have, and this is back to last season, of course, as well, but as home favorites in the last 7 games, they're just 2-5 ATS as home favorites. If you want to round it off to 10, it goes to about 4-6.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you mentioned, they didn't cover against the Jazz, and this is their third home game. It is a division game here, of course, as well. And I know early on in the season last year, the Rockets were playing really good defense until they, tailed off a little bit. But
Mhm.
we have guys on this Rockets team that are great perimeter defenders. You can say what you want about Dylan Brooks, but he can, cause havoc on the defensive side. Amen Thompson as well, Jabari Smith Jr. there as well. So I'll take the points here with the Rockets as well, plus 6.5. I agree about the under in this game here as well. The Rockets haven't really been playing with a lot of pace, and it's just been half court offense with Jalen Green and Şengün, especially with those two guys. And I mean, they paid them this offseason right before the season started, so the offense has really
Mhm.
been running through those two guys. And I think we talked about this a lot that the Mavericks don't play with a whole heck of a lot of pace, especially when Luka's out there. They want to play that half court offense. So, yeah, I'd agree about the under in this game here as well. Anything else for this game?
Adding to that,
Yeah.
the paint the paint points is really the big thing. Both of these two teams very bad inside of the paint. Rockets actually last place team in the league, 47.7% inside the paint. Not much better for the Mavericks, 20 of 54.2%. But both of them defending the paint very, very well, 8 and 10 respectively in the league for the Rockets and the Mavericks. So yeah, let's see some defense here.
All right. Let's get over to the next game on the schedule. We'll go over to the San Antonio Spurs. They are in Utah to take on the Jazz. Jazz currently laying 2 points here at home as a favorite with a total of 222 in this game. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, not yet one submitted for San Antonio because they did play last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then for the Utah Jazz, they will be without Isaiah Collier. We know about Taylor Hendricks. Lauri Markkanen is officially listed as questionable for this game here as well. He's dealing with lower back spasms. And they have 3 guys that are on 2-way G League deals here. The Utah Jazz, one of the teams that are winless thus far this season. I mean, they are a well head coach team, but it just feels like at some point, Terrell, that we may see Marketing on the move. But I mean, it's still very early on here.
Mhm.
0-4 straight up. They are 2-2 against the spread. 3-1 towards the under through their first 4 games. And honestly, it's really been on the defensive side for this team where they've allowed 110 plus points in all 4 of these games. They gave up 126 to the Grizzlies on opening night. They gave up 127 to the Warriors, 110 to the Mavericks on the road, and then the Kings scored 113. But the Kings, I think, were also on a back-to-back that night on Monday, I believe. But laying 2 points here against the San Antonio Spurs. What are you thinking?
I mean, Utah's really been struggling to score the basketball against some. The Kings game where they only scored 96 was really the glaring. Oh wow, there might actually be some issues here in terms of offense because how do you not get to 100 against the Sacramento Kings, who I don't think are gonna be any world beaters this season on defense. So, however, I mean their defense has been horrible It hasn't been good. They've been giving up almost 120 points per game. They're 24th in the NBA thus far this season. And I mean, the Spurs, granted, they played some pretty solid competition. However, we may feel about the Rockets, but they just played OKC the night before and gave up 105 and found themselves in the game. So I think defensively, I like the Spurs a lot more. I'm actually think this is wrong team favorite because this Jazz team just looks really, really bad right now. Like
Yeah,
it's
they just
either
look really disjointed right now.
they can't stop anybody either. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that the Dallas Mavericks clearly can't cover the spread against anybody at home, they would be winless against the spread this season.
Yeah.
Oh well, technically, I cashed Utah plus 2.5, but that closed at 2, so it's now a push. But I got 2.5 in that Utah game, so I cashed that. But not bragging. Here, but
Um,
yeah, man, I find I can't find too many reasons to really back this Utah team right now. Like they just don't look good. Laurie's already banged up, and they need every bit of offense that they can get. And
yeah.
the Spurs look like they're actually starting to find themselves defensively and really lock in defensively. Like I'm really impressed by that game last night against OKC and the fact that while it's by the hook, they found a way to cover the game. So yeah, I think I'm going Spurs. I don't care if they're on short rest. Clearly, rest means nothing right now because I've been getting my ass kicked fading teams that are off of back to backs and they're winning and winning outright. So I'm going to take the Spurs.
Yeah, I think I was looking at the Spurs here as well. Again, that questionable tag for Laurie is the tipping scale here for me, of course. And that's your best score. And like you mentioned, there's just been a lot of inconsistencies right now, both at least on the offensive side. I know defensively they just have not been very good as his Jazz team. So and I don't think the starters played a lot of minutes last night either against the Oklahoma City Thunder because I think early in the fourth quarter they did put that game away. Now Spurs did get the cover. I think it was 13, if I'm not mistaken, for the Thunder at home last night against the Spurs team, but
Mm-hmm.
only you had Harrison Barnes that played 30 minutes, and then everybody else were Jeremy Sohana played 31, but everybody else was at 20, 27 for Wimby, 26 for CP3, and then
Mm-hmm.
Keldon Johnson 29 minutes, and Malachi Branham had 20 minutes last night as well. So minutes weren't a huge concern there. I mean, they're still a very young team, and it's still early in the season, right? I don't think those tired legs are just going to catch up to these teams just yet. So this is going to be a game where I need the Jazz to prove it to me before I can, back them, right? So I think the Spurs here are the look here for me as well. Anything on the total here, Terrell? 222.
Yeah, let's take that Spurs team total over. It's at
Okay.
110.5, Munaf. You just said it.
Yeah.
The Jazz gave up 110 in every game this season thus far. Like, I think the Spurs offense is definitely able to break through. They've yet to get over this number this season. It's been under as the Livestone put out in the chat. Yeah, it's been under, but I mean, if there was ever a time to get over 110, it's against this Jazz defense that's been horrible. So yeah, 100%. I'm down on the Spurs team total over. We might be hearing about that later on in the show.
I'll mention this that since the 2018 season, Jazz as home favorites with their opponents on back to backs, they are only 11 and 20 against the spread. So opponents are covering around 64.5% there for the
Jesus Christ,
yeah
Munaf. What a stat.
Utah Jazz. Yeah. Um. All right. Anything else for this game?
No.
All right. Before we get to the last game of the schedule here, we talked extensively about rhythm at the top of the episode with the Braun Breaker model for Terrell. And hey,
2
you
and
guys
0,
can
Braun Breaker model.
2-0. They're a proud partner of SGPN, and they are the #1 AI-powered back sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money line, spread, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me. And Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Rhythm went 24-3 in their props for NBA Night 1. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. US players are always welcome. BetUS is live with Trick or Treat on Horror Street. From now until Halloween, BetUS will be offering daily promotions and a raffle entry to win a sports or casino prize pack that will give away on October 31st, which is going to be today. So there's still time. You can enter multiple times, and every $200 that gets deposited, you get one entry into the raffle. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus, promo code SGPN, so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. All right, to our last game of the night will feature the rematch of opening night between the Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers. Phoenix currently laying 4 points on the road here with a total of 221. Injury report for both of these teams here. Let's start with the road team. Excuse me, the Phoenix Suns. Bradley Beal is questionable. He has a right elbow sprain. Josh Okogie continues to be out as well. And for the LA Clippers, not yet what's submitted because they did play last night in a home loss to the Portland Trailblazers, 106-105 in that game. Just struggle in that fourth quarter for the Clippers, and also defensively giving up. I mean, it's 106 points, but not very good for the Clippers defense there. But Phoenix laying 4 points on the road here. What do you think, Intro?
I will say, I have to admit, the Braun Breaker model is on Clippers plus 4.5 here, but I didn't let it play it because my Rhythm AI model does not also like Clippers plus 4.5. It wasn't a best bet play, so I didn't play it. But I will say, I mean, again, these teams are back to backs. They're really just not meaning anything. These teams are being competitive regardless early on in the season. And I think this is a get up spot. Maybe it was a little bit of a look ahead yesterday, and that's why we didn't ultimately end up making that Clippers bet, was because of the look ahead yesterday. But I still like picked the Clippers for the show, and I'm still disappointed the Clippers didn't go out there and get the win and cover. But maybe they were looking ahead to this game, and the fact that they did just lose this game and they blew it in overtime. Like, that was a crazy way to blow the game. They were in control for majority of that game and handling business. Uh, I think my outlook on the Suns just has me thinking, like, we're getting the exact same line here. Is this the exact same situation just a week later? So what's changed? I mean, the Clippers won 2 out of 3. They lost to the Trailblazers, but they've still been really solid defensively. They've yet to give up the same points total that they gave up to the Suns. Like, they gave up that 116 in overtime, and I wonder how many points did they end up scoring in that overtime? 13 points. So they gave up 103 in regulation to the Suns, gave up 104 in regulation to the Nuggets, gave up 104 in regulation to the Warriors, and then gave up 106 in regulation to a Trailblazers team that they lost the game to. I mean, I'm not 100% certain where I'm at on the side, but the total is telling me here that the Clippers are pretty solid defensively. They're locked in, and they're driving teams to go under. So I kind of like Clippers plus 4.5.
Yeah, Clippers are the third best defensive rated team in the association thus far, trailing only the Thunder and the Warriors there. But who knew a James Harden led team be playing defense out there? But here we are in 2024. Yeah, I think initially when I saw this line, it just made me want to get behind the Clippers in this spot. Um, And like you mentioned, this last night was probably a big look ahead for them, with Phoenix coming to town here. And again, it's a back to back, but it's home and home there for the Clippers, so there's not any travel involved here for the Clippers here. So, and you mentioned right, they blew that lead in regulation against the Phoenix Suns. Defensively, they've been playing really, really well. I like betting on home underdogs, especially early in the season. And like you mentioned, these back to back situations, at least early on, don't really have an effect on these teams that are playing back to back. So, yeah, if you find a 4.5 out there, I would take the Clippers plus the 4.5. Also, do like the under in this game, like you mentioned, Terrell, that they've done very well on the defensive side, holding their opponents, at least in regulation, to 106 points or less. So I think the pace is definitely going to be slower in this game, as it has been for the Clippers there. So yeah, give me the under as well. Clippers plus 4.5 and under would be the look for me. And I'm just quickly trying to see where both these teams are as far as pace.
22 and 23 respectively.
There you go. So
Suns at 23, Clippers at 22. Two slow-paced teams, two teams that are top of the league, both top 10 in the league in defensive rating early on in the season. Clippers all the way up at fourth, and the Suns at ninth. And they've been handling business, keeping teams outside of the paint, field goal percentage allowed. They're both top 10 in the league. Uh, they're both handling business from three. Yeah, let's get a slow defensive game here again. And this Clippers team is better than advertised. I'll say that. They're playing a lot better than advertised.
yeah, and I was down on this Clippers team honestly coming into the season just because number one, we knew Kawhi was going to be out for some time. Obviously, the departure of Paul George, but those the depth pieces behind them have really stepped up. But
Yeah,
Clippers,
Kevin Porter had 10 points last night, man. And he got
yeah,
11 shots. It's like they're really letting Kevin Porter shoot the basketball. He's had 11 shots and 7, 10, 8. Like he actually, and this is all in 13, 15, 17, 15 minutes. He has a defined role. Matter of fact, I wonder what if they got his props out. He has a defined role on his team, and Kevin Porter might be that sixth man off the bench for them.
yeah, I
Like,
know,
look,
but he
I'm
was
not saying he's
overseas
there
last
now, but
season.
huh?
He was overseas last season, right?
Yeah, because you remember he went and what's the name? Had those charges
Yeah, yeah,
against old girl in the WNBA and all that, and so
yeah.
he
Because he
wasn't
was
in
with
the
the
league.
Rockets when all that went down, and then I
Yeah,
think they released him or traded him to Thunder. And then Thunder released him.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't
But
see
he's
his
he's
prop
got
out yet.
he's. It seems like Munaf. We might need to invest in Kevin Porter futures in the future going forward. Like if he gets more minutes, dog,
Mhm.
he's taking he's taking 11 shot attempts in 15 minutes. How do you have time in 15 minutes to get up 11 shots?
Nothing has changed for Kevin Porter Jr.
Yo, we might have to invest in some Kevin Porter Jr. futures later on because they clearly given this man a green light.
Yeah, he's played. He's averaging 15 minutes per game, getting up 9 field goal attempts in that span. Not shooting it very well. He's only at 27.8%, but he's definitely chunking it up there. That's for sure. Anything else for this game, Terrell? Before we get over to lock and dog territory?
No, just see Owen talking about we're punting all the under rules. Yeah, man. I am sorry. I just the Clippers have been really good defensively, man. Like they've
Yeah,
been really solid, and
they
we'll
could be 4
see.
0 to the under if that game didn't go to overtime, like we talked about with the Suns.
You are 100% right. That was the one game that went over. We'll see.
And
We'll see how the
yeah,
Suns fare, but maybe Suns team total under. Clippers been really solid, man.
yeah. All right, so that is the last game of the night. Again, short schedule here on Thursday. So only 4 games here, but we'll be back to a full schedule on Friday. But let's close out the episode here with our lock and dog, and then we'll put together our underdog fantasy entry. Terrell, you want to lead us off, or you want me to go?
What have we been doing? Let's
This is
switch
our first
mojo.
episode together for the season. So
What did you
uh,
what did you do last time? I
I
think I let Lonte go first last time.
yeah, I think I've been going first as well. So I'm gonna let you go first. We'll change the mojo a little bit.
All right, for my lock, I really, really want to fade this Utah Jazz team. I think I'm gonna do it. I really give me the Spurs team total over 110.5, man. I mean, they haven't gotten there this season, but this Utah Jazz team is just horrible defensively, like absolutely horrible. They've given up huge points numbers at home, like in elevation where they're supposed to have a leg up. They've given up huge point numbers at home, 113 to the Sacramento Kings, and that could have been worse if they were even remotely even in the game. And then the times that they were in the game, they gave up. Well, they weren't in that Warriors game and still gave up 127. They gave up 126 to the Grizzlies, which doesn't look amazing right now. And then somehow in preseason, this San Antonio team found a way to put up 120. So yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and back the San Antonio Spurs to put up points here. I think this is their coming out party. They've seen how bad their offense has been to start the season, and they this is a really good spot on the road where I think they probably should be favored for them to wake up offensively. So give me the Spurs team total over 110.5. That is my lock for my dog. Hmm. I could tail Braun with Clippers, or I can go Rockets. Rockets is a better price. Rockets play really good defensively, man. But this is a revenge spot for the Clippers. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, round and round and go. Which one do we pick? No one knows. Both of them are really good defensively. I'm gonna just go ahead and trust the Clippers. The Clippers have been good, man. They've been really good this season. And they've been competitive. They didn't have to travel on the back to back. They're sitting here at home. They get to eat that loss that they really shouldn't have. Like they really had that game under control. It just kind of blew it to the and they haven't won in this freaking dome yet. Like
Yeah,
they
that's a
have
good
this
point.
place. They talk about how they want it to be a college basketball atmosphere and they want it to be so electric, and they've yet to win in there yet. Oh man, they don't let the Suns go in there and beat them twice. They finally get a win in into it dome. So yeah, give me the Clippers plus 150 on the money line. They get it done.
All right. All right. For my lock, I'm gonna go with the Bucks team total over 119.5. We talked about, I mean, both teams honestly defensively. I could see this game flying over the total, but just a lot of question marks right now for the Memphis Grizzlies injury report. If those guys like Desmond Bain and Marcus Smart are going to play in this game or not, but at least I know I can trust the Bucks offense in this game here. So I'll take them over 119.5 against the Grizzlies. For my dog, I also do like the Clippers here tonight, but I'll pivot. I mean, I don't want to give out a baby dog in the
Well,
Spurs.
if you want Clippers, take the Clippers. I'll take Rockets. I do
Okay,
like the
yeah.
Rockets. Yeah, do
All
that.
right.
I do like the Rockets. I do.
Okay, then I'll take the Clippers here plus 150 on the money line, and then
We
Terrell
can't
will
double
switch
up.
it.
Double up is
Yeah,
just bad luck.
yeah, it's very bad luck. So we'll switch it up. Then I'll go Clippers plus 150 on the money line, and then Terrell will switch his to the other Rockets against the Dallas Mavericks, currently north of 2-1 on that money line price.
Whew,
So there we
we.
go. All right, last but not least, Terrell, Underdog Fantasy entry here for the schedule tonight. I know 4 games here to pick from, but again, if you haven't already, join us, underdogfantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code NBASGPN. Where do we want to go with our underdog for?
Well, I'll kick us off here.
Yeah,
Uh,
what do you like?
Chris Paul's assists on wait, they don't even have his assist list. Well, here we go. Can we move this up a little bit? Oh, they don't. They're not giving me 7.5. I was gonna say take Chris Paul's assist. I mean, it's at 0.85x,
Hmm.
but I mean, he's clearly getting the 7. I wanted 7.5. I think he gets to 8, but they have 8.5 higher for spicy. I think we still take it. Let's just take the spicy.
Okay,
This
I'm with
defense
it.
is horrible.
Yeah, I feel like the Jazz have also been giving a lot of assists to the point guard position as well. Because I was on De'Aaron Fox the other night. It was set at 5.5, and he had 6 by halftime, but he didn't get anything after that. But I think that game was, I think, getting out of hand for the Jazz at that point. So yeah, we can go with that. Um, do we go like Giannis points or rebounds?
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. Who's still
His
on? I
rebounds
mean,
are 11.5.
Edie isn't rebounding anything.
Yeah, we could probably go lower on him as well, and he'd probably be in foul trouble. But I don't see his lower is 0.91 on his 5.5
Who?
for Edie on his
Oh no, I'm
rebounding.
not taking. I'm not taking a lower just so he can slap me in the face. Absolutely not. Oh no, let's just go with Giannis points and rebounds. He's gonna kill
All
me.
right.
40 and a
Okay.
half. It sounds good.
All right. We'll go with that. So, all right.
And
So
then
Giannis points and rebounds 40 and a half higher. You want to get something from that Rockets game and Dallas game, or
mm,
the
no, I
latter
think that's
game?
a no. Let's stick with the over game. Let's go with. I mean, Wemby is a play. Wemby hasn't been that good recently.
Yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't been.
This is the game that he gets right. I mean, come on. Yeah. Walker Kessler, no way. Walker Kessler, John Collins, no. We trust Wemby. Wemby scores today. Take Wemby points higher.
All right, we'll do that.
They beat. I'm really sold on the Spurs beating the crap out of the Jazz today.
23 and a half is the number. All right, so we'll go CP3 higher on his assist. We've got Giannis points and rebounds higher 40 and a half. And then we'll go Wimby higher 23 and a half points here tonight for our underdog fantasy entry. That'll get you close to around 6x for the entry here for tonight. So, again, if you haven't already joined us on Underdog Fantasy, now would be a great time to do that. Use that promo code NBA SGPN. And yeah, you'll get that deposit bonus, of course, and of course, a special pick there as well. So come and join the fun with us on Underdog Fantasy. All right, that's going to wrap it up here for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Terrell, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
Nah, man, let's go.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for the Friday schedule, same time, same place. So join us then. And if you are watching this on live, do us a favor, leave your lock and dog in the comment section for us, and we want to see what you guys are on as well. So hopefully it is a profitable night. And like I mentioned, we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you guys follow Terrell over on Twitter and Instagram at reallyreal__. You can follow me there as well at sportsnerd824. More importantly, make sure you guys subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter as well at SGPN NBA. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, like I mentioned. Till then, good luck with your bets here tonight. And always remember to let it ride.